Welcome to the Dark Moon Mystery School, the podcast where we explore the intersections of psychology, spirituality, and healing. I am your hostess. My name is Kate Sylvanus, and today we're diving into a fascinating topic, the similarities between Carl Rogers' person-centered counselling and psychic and spiritual healing. At first glance, these two approaches may seem worlds apart, one rooted in modern psychology, the other in ancient and esoteric traditions. But as we'll see, they share a profound common ground, particularly in their emphasis on empathy or authenticity and the innate capacity for healing within each individual. So, whether you're a therapist, a healer, or someone simply curious about the connections between psychology and spirituality, this episode. First, let's talk about Carl Rogers and his groundbreaking approach to therapy. Carl Rogers was a humanistic psychologist who developed person-centered counseling in the mid-20th century. At its core, this approach is based on three key principles. Unconditional positive regard is the first one. The therapist offers a complete acceptance and support to the client without judgment or conditions. Second is empathy. The therapist seeks to understand deeply the client's feelings and experiences, seeing the world through their eyes. And thirdly, congruence, which is another word for authenticity. The therapist is genuine and transparent, creating a safe and trusting environment for the client. Rogers believed that in every individual they have an innate capacity for growth and self-healing, and that the therapist's role is to facilitate this process by providing a supportive and non-directive space. Now let's turn to psychic and spiritual healing. This is a broad term that encompasses a variety of practices, from energy healing and Reiki to shamanic journey and intuitive practices and readings. Where the methods may differ, the underlying philosophy is often the same. The holistic view of the person. Spiritual healers see individuals as more than just their physical bodies. They are also energetic, emotional, and spiritual beings. Empathy and intuition. Healers often rely on their empathic and intuitive abilities to sense imbalances or blockages in the person's energy field. Facilitating self-healing. Like Rogers, spiritual healers believe that the individual has the innate capacity to heal themselves, and it's the healer's role to guide, support, and activate this process. At their core, both person-centered counseling and spiritual healings are about creating a space where the individuals can reconnect with their true self and tap into their own healing potential. So what are the key similarities between these two approaches? Let's break it down. The power of presence. Both the person-centered counseling and the spiritual healing emphasize the importance of being fully present with the individual. In therapy, this means listening deeply and offering unconditional support. In healing, it means holding a sacred space where the individual feels seen, heard, and valued. Empathy as a healing tool. Empathy is central to both approaches. In therapy, it's about understanding the client's inner world. In healing, it's about sensing the client's energies and emotions. In both cases, empathies create the bridge of connections that fosters trust and healing. Non-directive approach. Both approaches are non-directive, meaning that the therapist or healer doesn't impose their own agenda or solutions, but instead they trust the individual's innate wisdom and ability to find their own path to healing. Focusing on authenticity. Carl Rogers' concept of congruence aligns closely with the spiritual healer's emphasis on authenticity. Both require the practitioner to be genuine, transparent, and aligned with their own truth. This authenticity creates a safe and empowered space for the individual. Beneath in the innate healing capacity. Perhaps the most profound similarity is the belief in the individual's innate capacity for healing, whether it's called self-actualisation in psychology or self-healing in spirituality. Both approaches recognize that the individual holds the key to their own transformation. So bring this back to life and let's have a look at a few examples. Imagine a client who comes to therapy struggling with self-doubt and anxiety. A person-centered therapist would offer unconditional positive regard, allowing the client to explore their own feelings without judgment. Through empathy and authenticity, the therapist helps the client reconnect with their own inner strength and wisdom. Now imagine the same client visiting a spiritual healer. The healer may sense blockages in the client's energy field, particularly around the heart and throat chakras. Through energy work and intuitive guidance, the healer helps the client release those blockages and reconnect with their true self. In both cases, the practitioner is not fixing the client, but facilitating a process of self-discovery and healing. So, if we are bridging psychology and spirituality here, what can we learn from these similarities? For one, they remind us that healing is not a one-size-fits-all process. Whether through therapy or spiritual practices, the goal is the same: to help the individuals reconnect with their true selves and tap into their own healing potential. For therapists, it might mean incorporating more intuitive or holistic practices and approaches into their daily work. For healers, it might mean grounding their work in the principles of empathy and unconditional support. Ultimately, both approaches point to the same truth: that healing is a journey of self-discovery, and the most powerful healing comes from within. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Carl Rogers' person-centered counseling and spiritual and psychic healing. If this episode resonates you, please share it with someone who might need it. And please don't forget to subscribe or send me a message to the Dark Moon Mystery School. You can find me on Facebook and on Spotify and many other places. Until next time, remember, through spiritual practices or through therapy, the journey to healing begins with compassion, authenticity, and trust in your own inner wisdom.